Hi all. Today I wanted to talk about Bad Batch Episode 4, titled Cornered. Just as a note, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched this episode yet, this is the official spoiler warning. I wanted to start by saying I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get these vlogs out after the episodes air each week. I have a couple of elderly dogs, 16 and 14 years old, that have been sick for the past couple of weeks, so attending them has been taking up a lot of my time lately. Bear with me while I'm tending to them, and hopefully I can start getting these episodes out in a more timely manner when they are feeling better. Alright, so this episode focused solely on the Bad Batch this week. We didn't see anything of Crosshair, Rampart, or the Kaminoans. As a result, I've seen some complaints that this episode was just a filler episode, but I don't think that was really the case. I also personally thought it was a good episode and still does move the story along, just not in the same way as some of the other episodes have so far. My understanding is that we are getting 16 episodes of the Bad Batch, so we are only a quarter of the way through the season. There's still plenty of time left in this season for action-packed episodes, but since there are 16 episodes, those action-packed episodes will be tempered with some episodes on the slower side that are necessary for setup of story elements. What I think this episode does well, though, is showcase a couple of things impacting the Bad Batch right now. The first is that the Bad Batch are truly on their own. They no longer have the Republic providing anything for them. They have to fend for themselves for food and supplies now. As a result, we see them having to make a stop at Pantora in order to get basic supplies, as well as have the chance to hide their signature of their ship since the Empire is hunting for them. In order to get supplies, the Bad Batch are having to sell what valuable items they have in order to get credits. We see Hunter trying to sell the last of one of their explosive ordinances. That doesn't work, so Echo gets sold to a store owner under the guise that he is a droid. Also, I wanted to say good for Echo saying that he was worth more than 2,000 credits. I think he is still worth more than the 3,000 credits Hunter negotiated for him, but good for Echo saying he was worth more. Anyway, I think the fact that they now have to provide for themselves is looked at in this episode as it shows yet another transformation the Bad Batch is having to go through now that they aren't part of the Clone Army and the Republic. I also suspect that will factor into their adventures in other episodes, as they may have to take odd jobs in order to keep food on the table and make repairs as needed. The next major thing we see impacting the Bad Batch is the fact that not only are they wanted by the Empire, but there is a bounty out on Omega. We get to see Fennec Shand in this episode, and she is awesome. I am so thrilled that they got Ming-Na Wen to voice her for the series. It is a nice link to the Mandalorian show, too. However, as good as it is to see her character again, she is there to recover Omega. We don't find out who hired her to recover Omega in this episode. The most obvious choice at this point would be the Kaminoans. We know from Episode 3 that Jango's DNA is degrading, and that they need material from just one source to keep their clone program going. Since we don't know a lot about Omega other than she is a clone, it seems like they would want her back as their source. Also, her name, Omega, implies the end or the last of something, so maybe she is the final perfected iteration of the program that they want back. However, the Kaminoans helped her along with the Bad Batch escape from Kamino at the end of the first episode. It seems odd to me that they would help her escape, then put a bounty on her to have her returned. I'm not saying this is out of the realm of possibility, it just seems weird that they would help her go just to force her back. I truly wonder if it is someone else that wants her, someone that knows more about what is going on with her than we do, and most likely someone we haven't seen yet in this season. I continue to be relieved with the treatment of the character Omega in the series so far. She is not obnoxious, and so far is not a Mary Sue. She is full of curiosity, and we get to see her curiosity through her experiencing things for the first time. We also get to see she is not very experienced in the ways of the world, as she doesn't know to be wary of strangers. She is still very trusting at this point, which is understandable. There hasn't really been anything in her life to make her a jaded character. This unconditional trust, though, gets her into trouble since she willingly goes along with Fennec Shand, a bounty hunter, because she doesn't know any better. I'm not saying I want her to become jaded or anything like that, just that her lack of experience in the world, or worlds rather, get her into a bit of trouble. After Fennec gets her hands on Omega, the Bad Batch come to Omega's aid, and ultimately Hunter rescues her. During this process, poor Wrecker hits his head again, and this time it knocks him out. I am starting to wonder about poor Wrecker. That is a lot of repeated damage to his head. I'm sure it isn't anything significant, and I am sure since he is modified for strength that he also has the ability to take a hit and not be too hurt by it. We will need to keep an eye on this, though, because it could be the groundwork for a potential issue with him, or even with his chip down the road. Again, it could be nothing, but just something to keep in the back of our minds as we go through the season. I did miss seeing what Crosshair and some of the other key players in the Empire were doing this episode. It would have been nice to get just a snippet in the episode of how those particular chess pieces are maneuvering while the Bad Batch are on their adventure. I would really like to see some additional development of the members of the Bad Batch. I can forgive not a lot of development on Crosshair right now considering what is going on with him by way of the Empire, and the fact they seem to be reinforcing his programming regularly. But I would really like to see more than Wrecker hit his head each week, and I would like to get to know Tech a little more too. I know we have seen Echo to a certain extent in the Clone Wars, but he has gone through some things since then, so it'd be nice to get to know this newest iteration of him too. Again, not that I mind the relationship building between Hunter and Omega, but since this show is about the Bad Batch, I want to get to know each member of them, especially since we didn't get a whole lot of them individually in the last season of the Clone Wars. All of that being said, it was an overall good episode. I thought it moved the story along, not at a breakneck pace, but still put some additional pieces in place, like setting up who hired Fennec and wants to get their hands on Omega. At the end of this episode, I am still left looking forward to the next episode, and I'm excited to see what happens next for the Bad Batch. Alright, so here are my questions for y'all about this episode. What did you think about this episode? Was it too slow? Was it just right? Let me know what you think. Who do you think hired Fennec Shand? Do you think anything will come of Wrecker repeatedly hitting his head? Also, I would love to use these videos to showcase fan art. If you have any you would like for me to include in the videos, please send it over, and I will do my best to include it. Well, I think that is about it for this entry. So I just wanted to say that I hope you have a great day, and may the Force be with you.